Okay, we're up to Mem Gimel Amid Aleph, and we're discussing tonight about a father. Father has rights in the daughter. We discussed in the Mishnah that the Pito goes to him, and the Onus goes to him, and as long as she's a Naira, when she's a Bageres, again he loses rights in her. So father has to support. A father, as long as really we're going to see the Gemara, the father doesn't have to support the daughter. But since he does, then all my siyada goes to him. Whatever she makes goes to him. Say the father dies, and now she's to be supported from the estate. Do the brothers have the same right in her as the father? In other words, just as the father and my siyada, whatever work she makes will go to the father, will go to them? Or do we say no? Do we say they're supporting from his own money? They're not supporting from their own money. They're supporting from the estate. And since they're supporting from the state, maybe my siyada goes to her. So let's see the Gemara Shiloh. Nem Gimel Amid Aleph. Again, there's again, I don't know. I'm not going to answer your question. I don't know. Top of my head. Boy mine Rev Avina Rav Sheshes. Bas hani zoinis mina achem. A bas that's being supported by the brothers. Now, where does this support come from? Look at Rashi right away, 3 lines down. Bas hani zoinis mina achem. Shekachu tanai ksuba. This is one of the conditions in the ksuba. The Pirkim, because Bonin Nukvin, our female children, the Havilechi Minoi, that'll be from me to you. Inun Yehon Yasre Bebesi, they'll sit in the house, Umitzi Minchasai, and they'll be support from Nechasim at the Tiloichin Leguvin until they're taken by a man. So this is a Tanai Ksuba that they're supported. So as long as they're in the house, they're going to be supported. So here's the Shaila. Boy Minei Ravina Rav Sheshes. Bas Hanizonim Mina Achin. Mem Gimel Amid Aleph is 5 lines down, just beginning. Boy Minei Ravina for the 3rd time. Bas Hanizonim Mina Achin. Ma'asu Yadecha Lemi. Who does get? She's working. Who gets that money? Right. The Mokim Av Kaimi. Mahosa Ma'asu Yadel La'av Hachanami Ma'asu Yadel La'achin. Just like the sons would take the place of the father. Just like if the father was alive and he's working, father's alive and what? And she's working, goes to the father. Who hadin? It goes to what? The brothers. It's not la'av. It's not comparable to the av. You know why? Husband by the father mididei mitzana. She's going to support him out of his own pocket. Hacha lav miditu mitzana. They're not getting supported from their own pocket. They're getting supported from the estate. So therefore, that's the shaila. Now we're going to see Rav Sheshes is going to say that the brothers get it, and Lamaskana we're going to say no, she keeps it. It's going to be a long-winded daf. It's a difficult daf. I'm giving you the end of the book. And in the shaila, Rav Sheshes is going to pass in the brothers get it, and we're going to go ahead and show that what in fact that she would keep. Amalei. So Rav Sheshes told Rabbi Avina, Tinisua, you learned the answer to it. Almana nizainis menichse yisainim. The almana, she gets supported from the nichse yisainim. She gets supported from the nichse yisainim. However, ma'aseh yadel shalahen, and as a result, the ma'aseh yadel belongs to them. So, in other words, just because you're supported from the estate, it doesn't mean that automatically that you lose your ma'aseh yadel. Just as the almana is supported from the estate, and anything she does goes to her sons. Ostensibly their sons, so too the daughter, any ma'aseh yadel would go to who? To the sons. That's what Rav Sheshes says. Good, and he stays that way. Now the Gemara says mi dami, is it comparable? How can you compare the almana to the daughter? Almana leinicha le beharvacha. The Baal wasn't happy when she was making money. He much rather stay home, right? Take care of the kids. He wasn't happy. But Bita nicha le'baravacha. But his daughter, he's happy. You know why? She'll have a dowry. She'll have money. It'll be easy to marry her off. So you can't go ahead and compare the money that Almana makes that stays in the estate and therefore stays to the brothers, rather than the girl who are not happy. We want her to make money. We want to keep money. She wants to go ahead and be more attractive to marry off. Let's see Rashi, guys. Guys, I'm going these Rashis. This is going to get. I want to get it in your bones. This is going to be around in the Sech a lot. The Hanami Tanoi Ksubahu, just like we said, it's a Tanai Ksuba that the girl gets supported. It's a Tanai that the Almana gets supported from the estate. Why does it say? You'll sit in my house, and you'll go ahead and be sustained from the chasim, as long as you remain as an almana. I think this, if she collects a kesubos, she might lose it. I forgot exactly what again, something like that. Okay. Anyway, l'chala pachas. So therefore, it's not a good sushtel, right? It's not a good sushtel. Now, Taisus points out that this whole shaila is a moot point. Really, it says Taisus basne zoynis min ha'achin ma'aseh yedel lemi. Just the beginning of Taisus. Midaraisa pshitale dahavi latzma. Midaraisa, it's the girls. Kididashina lekamon. We're gonna have a pasuk me'isachaltem. We're gonna have a pasuk to tell me it's the girls. And we'll say that pasuk in a second. El midrabanan boy, it's only a shaila midrabanan. Miditali taima b'mizainis. When we make the tam dependent upon on mizonas who's supporting, when we boil even the mizainis mishalehen, since the what she's being supported from them, miyaskinu l'rabanan ma'isiyadeha, right? Tachas mizainis. Just like the almana is being supported from them, the almana is supported from them, so maybe she is as well. And that's the shaila. But midoraisa, we're going to see a pasuk that really stays to her. So that's the point at hand. Okay, let's go over the shaila one more time and see what we said so far. Good. We have Gimel Amid Aleph. I'm going over the shaila. Rabbi Yomi, here's the shaila. Boy mine, here's the shaila. We know that an almana is supported from the estate. We know that a girl is also supported from the estate. We know a girl, when she goes to work, anything she makes goes to her father. The father dies. What takes precedent over here? The fact that she's being supported from the estate, and therefore what she would have to go ahead and what? I mean, she would have to give it up? Or no, the sons, just like the father inherits the sons would inherit the father's right in her. Or do we say the father and the sons are different? Because after all, the father is supporting from out of his own pocket. The sons are supporting from the dead father's nechasim. It's not costing them anything. So therefore, that's the shaila. Says Rav Sheshes, she's no different than an almana. Just like almana, ma'aseh yadeha, whatever the almana makes goes to the sons, so too whatever she makes goes to the sons. Guys, that's Rav Sheshes shita, right? Whatever, just like the almana, whatever she makes goes to the sons, so too whatever she makes, the girl goes to the son. Says the Gemara to Rav Sheshes, it's not comparable. By the reason why the ma'aseh yadeha, whatever the almana makes, is because the husband doesn't want her avacha. He doesn't need her money. He doesn't want her working. Mashenkin, he wants the girl working because any money she makes makes her more attractive for marriage. She has a dowry there, so you can't compare the two. And so the Gemara is really disagreeing with Rav Sheshes. But okay, the Gemara is really disagreeing with Rav Sheshes. Okay, says the Gemara Vaita. Lememra the bitoy adifalei me'amunasai. You mean to tell me that the bitoy is more adif, is better that she should be self-sufficient than the almana? The Amar Rav Abba, Amar Rabbi Yosi, asu almana eitzel habas. We make the almana next to the bas, kibas eitzel achin, like the bas to the brothers. In other words, let's say Heshi brought up, what happens if this estate runs out? What happens if let's say the guy dies and leaves very little. He dies and leaves very little. What's the din? Obviously, the estate is not enough to support everybody. So there's three people to support. There's an almana, there's sons, and there's a daughter. Good. You have enough to support one of the three or two of the three. The other one's going to have to go door to door. So who ends up going door to door? So the sons. Next, okay, almana and daughter. Who goes? No, daughter. That's the kasha. You see, when it comes going door to door, you're telling me the almana takes precedence. She doesn't go. The daughter. So here you're telling me, harvacha, you're telling me the daughter takes precedence, right? That she gets to keep the money. Yeah, when it comes going door to door, you're saying no, that the almana takes precedence. That's the Gemara's kasha. Try the Gemara kasha. Asu almana eitzel abas. We'll make the almana to vis-a-vis the daughter. Kibas eitzel achin, like the daughter to the sons. When there's not a lot to the estate. Mahabas eitzel achin. When the daughter eitzel achin, who goes door to door? Habas nizonis, the bas gets supported from the estate. Achin yishalu al pesachim, and the brothers they go ahead and they go door to door. Af almana eitzel abas. So too the almana by the bas. Almana nizonis abas tishal al pesachim. So l'chayra, you see that wa'ad le'inyan being supported from the estate. Almana takes more precedence. And for the Gemara, le'inyan zilus almanusa adifay. No. You're mixing up two different things. One is who gets to keep their money, and another one what's a bigger busha. So le'inyan zilus almanusa adifay. Le'inyan being an embarrassment. Embarrassment is greater to the woman go to door than the younger girl go to door to door. Le'inyan avacha, le'inyan who who gets to keep more money, then bito adifale. Why? Because again, she wants to make her more attractive for marriage. Okay, so now we have Rav Sheshes, in our Shaila, Rav Sheshes' Shita, that even if the father dies, whatever might see Yadeh, just like when the father was alive, it goes to the father, who had dinner will go to the sons, according to Rav Sheshes. Massive Rav Yosef. Guys, we're going to come to Sheshes. Again, once you get that Shita down, we're going to go to Rav Sheshes. Massive Rav Yosef. Maisa Yodeha, our Mishnah says, Maisa Yodeha umitziyasa, the workings of her hands, or anything she finds, Afal Pishalei Govsa, even if it's not collected, Mesa Av Harihen Shalachin. If the father dies, then the Maisa Yadel go to the brothers. Now, Taima the Bechaye Av. The reason it's going to the brothers is why? Because she made this money in the lifetime of the father. Guys, if she made the money in the lifetime of the father acquires it. When the father dies, it's part of the Yerusha. It goes to the sons. What about money she made after the husband died, after the father died? Then it would be la'atzma, right? It would be what? To herself. My love bin Zionis is not speaking where you're being supported. So let's go through it. You're being supported, and the reason why the Maaseh Yadeha is going to the state, to the brothers, is only because she earned it when the father was alive. Had the father died, the Maaseh Yadeha would go to herself. So the Charikashan of Sheshes. And the Gemara loy b'shein in Zionis. You said speaking where she's being supported from the estate. No, she's not being supported. Everyone would admit, guys, if she's not being supported by the state, that she doesn't have to give the Maaseh Yadeha. So in other words, so this is not a good sushtel for Rav Sheshes, because Rav Sheshes said it's only when she's being supported. Now here's the question, guys: if she's not being supported, what's the chiddush? The money she makes, and she's not being supported, what she's supposed to live on, right? Says the Gemara, if you're speaking where she is not being supported from the estate, but she's self-sufficient, right? Right. My remember. So what's the chiddush? There's no chiddush. Says no. Afilu madiyama yochel rav loyma le'eved. Even though a rav could say to an eved kanani, "Asa imi, work for me." Ve'eni zoncha. So talk about slavery, right, guys? Listen to this. Work for me, and I won't pay you. Hear this? Says the Gemara. Now, even though a guy could say, a master could say, "Yochel rav loyma le'eved." Asay imi ve'eni zancha, work for me. Hani mili be'eved kanani. That's by an eved kanani. The loik siv be imach, that it doesn't say the pasuk with you. Avol eved ibri diksiv v'hoye kiyomer elecha le'etzei me'imach ki ahevcha. So pasha, let's say after he works X amount of time and he wants to stay married, he has shivur kananisi, he wants to stay in there. It says imach, like kol shekain. So kol shekain bitai, guys. Madach, guys, you were just disappointing, guys. Madach, an Eved Ivri, who you have you at least own the rights to his hands, even though you don't own him physically. Nonetheless, you're not able to say, you work and I'll keep it. Your daughter, which you really don't own, right? Ain't I din that if you're not being supported, you can't keep it. So in other words, what's the chiddush? Bishlam, if you tell me you're being supported, and nonetheless the money goes to the girl, that's a chiddush. But when you tell me that she's not being supported from the estate, so Amar Rabba Rabula, here's the chiddush. You're right. Maaseh Yadeha clearly goes to her. Let's say this girl's rich. Let's say she only needs $500 a week to live on it. She's making $2,000. So you have $1,500 more. So you might think that $1,500 to sit right, that it goes to the estate. Kamash Malon, that it doesn't. That it doesn't go to. So that's the chiddush. So you're not being supported. Really, you're not being supported. But the chiddush is that even though there's hadafa, right, that doesn't go. Let's see Rashi here. Lahadafa. You need it for the diak that one, even though you're not being supported. Lashminon, the Maaseh Yadeha la'achem misas of av la'atzma. It goes to her. Ubeshein and Zionis, and it's speaking where she's not being supported. And the loy tema, you shouldn't say. Guys, what would the svara be? In other words, what would the svara be that the sons would inherit? Whatever monistic rights the father had in the girl, maybe they do as well. Rashi's telling you. Rashi, I underline in my Gemara that little knetch over here. The loy tema, don't say schus shezichsa Torah, the schus that the Torah gives la'av to the father, rebitoi, mamin who? It's mamish a monetary thing. L'hoy rishoy lebanim. Good. The kashalach the might is but right. Why is she, if she's not being supported? How she get support? Halay Gora mi Eved Ivri. She's not worse than an Eved Ivri. However, Ki Yitzrich Lashminan La Dafa. Shemaisi Yadel Oidif Al Mizanaseha. Yitzrich Lashminan. Again, you might think the following. You might think like this, guys. Watch. Really, the father bequeaths to the son's mom, and they really, they have rights in this girl. But if they're not supporting her, what else is she supposed to do? Right? So whatever she needs to support, we'll give it to her. As soon as you go over, what might you say? The rights that the father had is never goes. Kamash Malon, the Chiddush over here, that even that extra stays by her. That's the Chiddush over here. But it's not a kash on Rav Sheshes, because it's speaking where she's not being supported. Rav Sheshes only said his name when she's being supported, right? This is where she's not being supported. Everyone's moidiv, she's not being supported, that what? That the Ma'aseh Yidel goes to her. The Chiddush of this brisa is that even the Hadafa, more than she needs, also goes to her. That's the Chiddush. Now, that we think it's a Chiddush, but Rabbi Yosef's the one who asked this kasha. Now, very funny Gemara. Amar Rabba Ravula. Amar Rava, says Rava, Gavra Rabbi Rabbi Yosef, a great person like Rabbi Yosef, La Yoda Deikal Hadafa, Ukimaisif Tiyufta. Wouldn't he know that the whole Chiddush over here is Hadafa, that he asked from here? In other words, he held it so pushit that the Hadafa would go to what? That it's speaking that the Hadafa that goes to Ma'aseh Yedeha. He says it as Dava pushit. So L'chaira, what's it talking about? Okay, so here's the kasha of Rav Sheshes. Okay, again, just to reiterate, what did Rav Sheshes say? That if the father dies, the girl, whatever money she makes, the Ma'aseh Yedeha goes to the sons. Good, that's what she said. Now here's the kasha on Rav Sheshes. Said Rabbi Yosef, Elo Amar Rava, Rabbi Yosef Mastisan Gufa Kashala. The Mishnah was very shver. Kitani, we said, Ma'aseh Yedeha, anything she makes, Umitziasa, and anything she finds, Afa Pishalei Gavsa, even if she didn't collect it, goes to the father. Guys, so what happened over here? You went to work, they didn't pay you yet, right? They didn't pay yet. The father dies, but they owe you the money. So it's considered what? It's considered part of the estate already. What's the case of not collecting a mitzvah? What's the case of not collecting a mitzvah? That doesn't make any sense, right? You can't. Who are you collecting mitzvah from? It's either you found it or you didn't find it. There's no one. You found my mitzvah. It doesn't make any sense. So it says the Gemara, mitzvah min man gavya. It doesn't make any sense. Ela lav hachi kamar. Do not learn the word mitzvah like you thought. Let's learn the word mitzvah like this. Ela hachi kamar. Maisa yodeha ki mitzvah. The workings of her hands are similar to a mitzvah. Ma mitzvah b'chaya av la'av. Just like the mitzvah in the lifetime of the father belongs to the father. We'll see why in a second. La'achem yisisa av la'atzma. And after the father dies, it goes to herself. Af ma'aseh nami b'chayav la'av la'achamisa av la'atzma shma mina. Not like Rav Sheshes. The comparison in our Mishnah, guys, between ma'aseh yodel and mitzvah. The purpose of the comparison is to tell us what. Just like my mitzvah, right? Just like mitzvah, after the father dies, clearly belongs to her. So to ma'aseh yodel, after the father dies, belongs to her. Shma mina. You have a good raya. It manami amar Yehuda Marav. Rav says this din, not like Rav Sheshes. Bas hanizonis min ha'achin, the bas who takes what? Nizonis min ha'achin, ma'aseh la'atzma. Now, just regarding mitzvah, guys, this din of Ava, that the father might it's in order to avoid any, really, you could tell your daughter to go to work. Really, you could. But in other words, but you support the daughter. But again, if anything she finds and can go to her, it might create a situation where they go to work. So therefore, Mishameva, that's only when he's alive. When he's dead, so therefore, clearly, there's no shaila by the mitzvah going to her. And just like there's no shaila by the mitzvah going to her, there's no shaila by the and that's the upslug on Rav Sheshes from Rav. That's the upslug from the Mishnah. And Rav says it clearly that Basan says min ha'achim yedel atzma. Rav kind of my timer. That's the reason. This was the pasuk that places bring. Fellas, the halacha is that karka gets passed down. In other words, karka is part of the family. You have a house, it gets passed down. It's called karka. An eved kanani gets passed down. It stays part of the family. They are mukish karka. We're going to see Masech the Kedushin. The way you coin a karka is keser shtar chazaka. The way you coin an eved kanani is keser shtar chazaka. What's the pasuk that tells us an eved kanani is inheritance? The following pasuk: V'snachaltem ma'isam lebenechem. You should bequeath them, the eved kanani to your sons. Achrechem after you. And here's the diak: Oisam lebenechem. Dafka, the eved kanani goes to your sons. but not your daughters to your sons. In other words, never Kanani goes to your sons, but not your daughters to your sons. So you have a pasuk that says that what your sons don't get the Ma'aseh Yadeh. So that's how Taisus knew the rice is not a shayla. That whole shayla is the Rabbanan, right? That's how you know. It's good, Shmak. Magid shein adam ma'irish l'schus bito lebenai. Teach us that what a father cannot go ahead and bequeath the schus that he has in his daughter to his sons. Okay, now Maskal Rava says the following. The aim, let's say that pasuk v'snachalta my son levnechem is speaking about the following: Bepito yabas u'kinasos v'kinasos v'chavolos hakosim medaber. In other words, there's basically two types of ways that you can make money. Something you can anticipate, something you can't. You can't anticipate your daughter being violated or talked into or getting a chavala. So maybe over there where it's not common, not shaykh, maybe over there we'll say that what you can't go ahead. Mashenke Maisi Yadeh, where you could expect your daughter to go get a job, maybe that would. That's the Gemara's kasha. Further Gemara kasha. That this pasuk, Masla Rav of Ema, Pitu Yabas, the Knesses Chavalis Akasim Medaber. It's speaking about those monetary rewards that she gets. Maybe those. Right? Look at Rashi, falling up from the bottom. That's the key. In other words, Rashi brings two svaras. What would the difference be? When the father's father's daughter is violated, didn't cost him anything. His daughter is chavala, didn't cost him anything, right? Cost him anything. Right? So l'chayra, it's clearly that or it's not shchiach. So maybe over there that's you don't bequeath, but something Ma'aseh Yadeha, it's tit for tat. You're going to work, right? I'm going to support you. You give me. So maybe the part of it's not chaltem is not going on that. And maybe that you could go inherit, the sons could inherit. So I can make a distinction between money coming in, right? Accounts receivable, right? Right? Says the Gemara, the Chen Tana Reb Chanina, the Pitu Yabasu Knesses Chavoles. Hakosim Medaber. Fred the Gemara 1 second. Chavoles, Cyrus the Gufininu. Why would Chavoles go to the father? Who takes a loss with a Chavola? The girl takes a loss, not the father. Says Rabbi Yosef it could be a case where the father takes a loss. What's the case speaking about? She got wounded in her face, and therefore he can't sell her, as much. Whatever he's going to sell his daughter, she's a katana, and you could sell her. So therefore she's worth less. So it's a loss to him. So in other words, you want to say it's no raya v'istachaltem. In other words, slugged up that raya. The raya can zayin. Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Rav V'imila, Amar Rebbe Zera. Very interesting, right? Rashi brings guys. Rav Zera. This is Rav. We saw the other day. You can't collect in Bavel. You can't collect knesses in Bavel because they don't have smicha. So any amoyer in Bavel is called Rav, because they don't have smicha. If you have smicha, you're called Rebbe. So look at Amar Rebbe Zera, Amar Rav Zera, V'imilo Amar Rebbe Zera. It's the same person. Rashi says. However, Rav Zera went up to Eretz Yisrael and he received smicha and then became Rebbe. All the things your Rebbe never taught you, right? That was always who's an Atana, a Moira, nothing. Amar Masna, Amar Rav, Bas Hanizonis Mina Achin, Ma'aseh Yadeh Atzma. Rav says it. Who does it go to? Not like Rav Sheshes. It goes to the daughter. The Chsiv is Nachalta my son lebnechem acharechem, Oisan lebnechem. There, your Eved Kanaanim go to your sons, and not your daughters to your sons. That he can't go ahead and be Mirish the schus of his daughter to his sons. Amli Avimi says Avimi Bar Papi says Avimi or Papi. Shakit Amra. Did Shakit say that? Shakit means he's a big masmid. Big masmid. Rashi says Shakit is a masmid, right? Shkeda. So Shakit Manu who Shakit Shmuel. So in other words, it wasn't Rav who said it, was Shmuel who said it. Rav Amra. Rav said it, not that the money goes to her. Says, well, no, Ema af shoket on me. Even Shmuel said. So Shmuel and Rav are against Rav Sheshes. Guess who's winning here, right? Got Rav and Shmuel, the two heavy hitters against Rav Sheshes. Who gets the money? The sons or the Ma'aseh Yadeh, or the sons or her? Rav and Shmuel say her. Amamar baravimi hachi amen adoy hilchas hakavos Rav Sheshes said Ma baravim Rashi in adoy said the lachas conjunction of Sheshes that it goes to the Ma'aseh Yadeh, it goes to the sons. Rashi also gets the final say. Hilchas HaGavasei the Rav, the Hilchas HaGavasei the Rav. The halacha is the halacha is like Rav. In other words, Rav Ashi said the halacha is like Rav, and now the Gemara is concluding, and the halacha is like Rav. What? She keeps it. Okay. Let's just start the Mishnah. We're not going to get too far because it's really tomorrow's daf. Hama'ara says Bitoi. Someone goes ahead and takes his daughter and he marries her off, but only Erison. The Girsha. The marriage was never consummated, never was Nisuin, and he got divorced. And the same girl, Irsa, gets engaged the second time. There's Almana, and her husband dies.
From Erison.
What?
All from Erison.
All the same person. This is the same person. Ksubasa Shaloi. A ksuba is hers. Now she has two ksubas, the first one and the second one. It goes to her. Now, Hisia, excuse me, Suvasa Shaloi, a ksuba belongs to him. The ksuba belongs to him. Rashi, Ksubasa Shalav. We don't have, our guess is Ksubasa Shaloi. Rashi has the guess of Av. Ksuba she goiva mishnei arusin. The ksuba she gets from a two erisin. Halalu. Now the question is, fellas, ksuba is usually written b'shas nesuin, right? Ksuba is written b'shas nesuin. Ksaba yesh ksuba la rusa. That this mission would hold is that there's a ksuba to an arusa, because usually ksuba is what's the purpose of ksuba, guys? That it should not make it difficult for a person to divorce his wife. So if the erisin, so they're not living together anyway. So what's the purpose of the ksuba? So the ksuba is just in the sun. So Rashi is bothered by that. How do you have a mitzias in the case over here? Two ksubas by erison. I have charis by the suin. So Rashi is saying it's speaking in a ksuba la arusa. Ubi may nairis katanas come. Obviously, it's speaking may nairis katanas because guys, once she becomes a baygeres, then she's in her own jurisdiction, and the father would not get the ksuba. So says the Tanakama in these two scenarios, the fathers can collect twice, one from the divorced husband and one from the dead husband. They're going to collect both. Hisia. The Gersha. Now, Nesuin married her off, Erison and Nesuin and divorce. He siya v'nis almala, and he married her off, and she became an almana. So now, Ksubasa Shala, even though she's a naira, Ksuba belongs to her, says Rashi. The Mishaya siya, when there's Nesuin, Paka Rishusai. The father lost Rishus. Ubasa Gavaina Azlina, and we go after collection. The Gavaina Basa Hachihu, and the Gavaina was after she left his Rishus. We don't go after when it was written. Since the first Kesuba was written, she was in the Rishus of the father, to Havi the Av. In other words, I could say the following. Guys, here's a Kiddush. Guys, have a Kiddush. This girl was a Naira, or Katana. Goes ahead, Erison, Nesuin, she's a completely married woman, gets divorced. Now gets remarried again, gets remarried again, dies. So the first, you might think that the first ksuba, the second ksuba clearly goes to what she's out of the rishus of her father, the second marriage. There's nothing to talk about. The first ksuba, when it was written, she was in the rishus of the father. So you might think, since when it was written, she was in the rishus of the father, that the father retains rights. Kamash Malon, as soon as Nesuin takes place, again, the ratio is erison. As soon as Nesuin takes place, what? Pokas chus the father, and you go after when? Gavaina, b'shas you collect, not b'shas it was written. You go after b'shas you collect, and not b'shas when it was written. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Harishayna shel av. In the latter case, the Rishayna goes to the father. The father, why? Because as we're going to see, Rabbi Yehuda goes after the time it was written. They told Rabbi Yehuda, Mishasiya ein lavia rishuspa. When she gets married, the father's no rishus. Now, what's my time, Rabbi Yehuda? The Gemara is going to say, because we go after the Shas Ksiva, not after Shas Gavaina, not after the collection. Okay, now notice let's go back in time. Machlokes Rebbe and Rav Shimon Gamliel. How many times for a chazaka? Rebbe says twice, and Yechayish for the third time, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, Mila 1 bleeds to death, Mila 2, you don't do the third one, right? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, fourth time. Good. Now, the Gemara over here said two cases. First, Gerishin, then this Almala. Really, it doesn't make a difference what happened to her, does it? It really doesn't. It doesn't, because bottom line is, the reason the father's getting it is because she's still in the rishus of the father as long as it's not a suin, correct? So why do you learn a case of Gerishin and a case of this Almala? Why don't you be consistent? Okay, says the Gemara. Haima desiya v'gersha desiya v'nis Almala. Almas Almala trezimni su lechazi len suve. If she was widowed twice, then she no longer be seen to be married. And he's telling us the chiddush that after two times is a chazaka. I don't know why you have to tell it in such a funny way, but afal pikein. So that's the chiddush. Now, my time, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Harishayna Shalaf. My time, Rabbi Yehuda, you know the answer. I gave you the answer already. You go after b'shas ksiva. Good. Anyway, the Gemara is going to suggest something else, and then we're going to go ahead and slug it up. My time in the Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi of Rabbi Yosef Damit Travayu, they're both of the opinion. Hoyul umishas erisin zacha behen ha'av. Since at the time of erisin, the father was zeicha. Since at the time of erisin, the father was zeicha in the first ksuba. In other words, you don't go after ksiva, you go after the fact that when he married her off at first, she was an arusa. Master Rava Rabbi Yehuda Omer Harishayna Shel Av Umayda Rabbi Yehuda the Ma'arises Bitoi. If he went ahead and married off his daughter Kishahu Kitana Ubagra, and then she became a Bageres Biachkach Nisus, and then she gets married in the Nisuin. The same person, guys, same person, right? He married her off when she was a Kitana. She became a Bageres, and then you had Nisuin. In other words, I guess if you wait 12 months. And as a naira, right, very, very easily, right? She'ein lo v'yirishuspa, amai hachanami lema hoyel mishas erisin zachem hena'av. In other words, if you're going after the time of erisin, guys, what happened over here? You went erisin, she became a begeres 12 and 6 months, then nesuin. Father has no right, but why not? At the time he married her off, it was erisin, so that must not be the reason why the ksuba, the first ksuba, goes to her, him. You want to Rabbi Yehuda? Here's the way I learned. Rabbi Yosef Damit Travayu, Hoyel ubershusai nichtavim. Since it was written in his reshus, you're going to go after ksiva. So, in the case where he married her off and it was written in his reshus, therefore the first ksuba goes to him. The second ksuba where it was out of the reshus already because it was nesuin, correct? Then in that case it goes to her. Okay, we're going to stop over here because it gets very involved. Tomorrow afternoon. It'll be in the afternoon, the same as. Usually about 4:30.